Yes, there's a rumor they're going to give $450,000 to illegal immigrants. Joining me now to talk about that and many other things is the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee and author of a new book I would recommend, Do What You Said You Would Do, Fighting for Freedom in the Swamp. Congressman Jim Jordan joins us today. Congressman, I would say that sounds so outlandish. There's no chance it could possibly be true, but that would probably be naive with how crazy these people are.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, $500,000 for breaking the law, such a deal for American taxpayers. You know, the Democrats are looking to put amnesty in this big spending package for 8 to 10 million people who, you know, illegal immigrants who broke the law, and that's you know, crazy enough. But now it's like, oh, you can get not only amnesty, but we're going to pay you $500,000. Meanwhile, meanwhile, Americans, if you don't get this vaccine, you might lose your job, and you got what's now $3.50 gas and a host of other things that American citizens have to deal with. So this is crazy. But frankly, at this point in the 10 months of this Biden administration, what haven't they done that it hasn't been crazy?
One more question on the illegal immigration thing, because I get questions about this all the time. I'm sure you do too. As you know, we have another huge migrant caravan coming our way. Yeah. This is clearly something that's not going to stop or slow down, because it didn't even stop in the summer months when it normally does because of the heat. Are we really stuck with 4 years of this? What is that going to be, 4 or 5 million people by the time these people are done in the White House?
Unfortunately, I think that's certainly the trajectory we're on. I mean, as you point out, every single month has basically been worse than the last, which tells you this is deliberate, this is intentional. And of course, the message they send is we're not going to build the wall, we're not going to keep the Remain in Mexico policy, and now we're going to pay people who break the law. If that isn't an incentive for people to come, I don't know what is. And then, of course, all the tragedies that happen, all the tough things that happen, particularly to kids and ladies along this trek. But the left doesn't want to talk about that. But yeah, this seems deliberate. This seems intentional to me. But I think we can slow it down some when we take back the House a year from tomorrow. But until we get a new president, until President Trump runs again and wins, it's going to be tough to stop this nonsense that we see from Joe Biden.
Your book, Do What You Said You Would Do, Fighting for Freedom in the Swamp. You obviously talk about the swamp. How did it get so bad there? Because what it seems like more than anything, on top of being broken, it just seems like they're so disconnected there from normal people. How did that happen when they were elected by normal people?
Yeah, I think part of it is people get here and it's just easier to kind of go along and not fight back and not actually do what you told the voters you were going to do when you ran for the job, and frankly, why they elected you. I always say we make this job way too complicated. What did you tell the voters you're going to do when you put your name on the ballot? If they elect you, just go do what you said. But that doesn't seem to happen here. And now it's gotten so bad where the left, I always point out, one of my friends is former Congressman Dennis Kucinich, and he's an old school liberal where you could actually have a debate, where he actually believed in the First Amendment. You know, he gets his best shot, takes his best ideas, and we have a debate, and I'll do ours, and he's on the left, I'm on the right, and we're going to see what happens. That's the way it's supposed to work in this country. But the new left, the new hard left, they don't want to debate. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They just say either do it my way, or you're a racist, you're no good, I'm going to attack you, I'm going to attack your family, we're going to cancel you. That is the part of the big problem here too. And so it's just a crazy environment. But what we need, I think, is Republicans who are willing to come here and, like I said, fight for what they told the voters they were going to do. And we talk about a lot of that in our book, some of the big investigations and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I think your viewers will like when they get a chance to read it.
You brought up Kucinich, but I mean, you're so right about that. I try to explain to people now, this is not even Bill Clinton's parties. And it's not like I'm a big fan of Bill Clinton, but he's far, far to the right of this madness today. These people seem like they only want to wreck the place. And I don't want to be, I am partisan, but I don't want to be too over the top. How am I supposed to take these things as anything other than they're trying to trash the place?
No, I think that's exactly what they're trying to do, because that's what we see happening. I mean, think about it. In 10 months' time, I had a friend send me a text the other day. He says, I wake up every morning thinking it can't get worse. By the end of the day, Democrats prove me wrong because it just keeps getting worse. We went from a secure border to chaos. It went from energy independence to the spectacle of the president of the United States begging OPEC to increase production. We went from relatively safe streets to the rise in crime in every major urban area because Democrats defund the police. We went from being respected around the world to what we saw with the debacle that was the Afghanistan withdrawal, and on we could go. So yeah, they seem to just, and I haven't even got to the most important thing, what we were just talking about, what they've done to the First Amendment. Jesse, every single liberty we enjoy under the First Amendment has been assaulted over the last year by the left. Your right to practice your faith, right to assemble, right to petition your government, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, every single thing. I was given a speech a few months ago to the New Mexico Republican Party in Amarillo, Texas, because they had to go to Texas to get their First Amendment right to assemble because their crazy left-wing governor wouldn't let them meet in their own darn state. So that's how crazy this has become. Let's hope it ends soon. Let's hope it ends soon.
Let's hope it ends soon. I have to tell you, we played it last week on the show. I did enjoy you tearing Merrick Garland a new one. For anyone who missed last week's show, please observe the congressman here last week.
First sentence of your memo, very first sentence, you said, in recent months, there's been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, threats of violence.
Yes.
When did you first review the data showing this so-called disturbing uptick?
So I read the letter, and we have been seeing over time threats.
Whoa. I didn't ask you. So you read the letter. That's your source?
So let me be clear. This is not a prosecution or an
Is there some study, some effort, some investigation someone did that said there's been a disturbing uptick, or you just take the words of the National School Board Association?
Well, the National School Board Association, which represents thousands of school boards and school board members, says that there are these kind of threats. When we read in the newspapers reports of threats of violence, when that is in the context of threats of violence.
The source for this, for the very first line in your memo.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
Was the School Board Association letter.
Expired, Mr. Deutsch.
Congressman, I'm not naive. I know people who disagree with me are going to be in charge a lot, but is it too much to ask to have them at least be informed? Our Attorney General reads the newspapers to send the FBI after people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that by that exchange, the key source for him for the entire memorandum was that letter from a left-wing political organization that the day after that exchange we had, they apologized for. But he sends out a memorandum. And I think this is real important. We brought this up in the hearing. The memorandum goes out accompanying the memorandum, which basically, again, does everything the School Board Association asked to be done, gets the FBI involved in monitoring parents at local school board meetings. But accompanying the memorandum on October 4th was the press release, which talked about the National Security Division as part of the task force that was going to implement what the School Board Association asked to be done. So when you get the National Security Division, their focus is domestic terrorism. So this idea that they weren't treating parents as domestic terrorists, it's just baloney. They in fact were, and it looks like this was all coordinated from the get-go, because we now have correspondence between the White House and the School Board Association before the letter was sent on September 29th. And of course, 5 days later, we got this memorandum that came from the Attorney General. It's sickening what they were doing. But the fact that the Attorney General won't rescind his memo, I find even more troubling, because we've asked him to do that as well.
His book is Do What You Said You Would Do. I highly recommend it. Congressman, thanks for giving us a few minutes. I appreciate it.
You bet, Jesse. Thank you so much.